Whoa! Daniel, you've been eliminated.
Wait a second. One thing I don't miss about NXT is you constantly interrupting me, okay?
Huh. Where does this
There
guy
is
get off?
one person, only one person, who refuses to acknowledge how good I am. And he keeps saying that I have no personality. He keeps saying that I don't have the it factor. Michael Cole, you're just a parrot.
The future is now. We are NXT.
Welcome back to another episode of Half K NXT. Your boy, Notorious Nando.
And the almighty Larry Knight.
Does that make me Leo Rush and giving me a bunch of heat?
Yeah, you're Nando Rush.
No, I'm not gonna show up on the rest of the podcast anymore.
Solo.
I knew this was fixed.
Hey, sorry, dude. Everybody needs a hype man.
All right, well, welcome back to another episode. Thanks again for listening and checking us out. And yeah, we are always available on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. You can also check out our episodes on YouTube as well if you're more of a YouTuber. And yeah.
SoundCloud? No?
What? SoundCloud, yeah, we're also on SoundCloud. I don't know how many SoundCloud people we've actually had, but yeah, we're on SoundCloud as well.
I listen to us through SoundCloud.
Oh, okay.
I do SoundCloud and Spotify.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm definitely more of a Spotify guy myself, but I guess a lot of people still listen to it on. I mean, iTunes was the giant 10 years ago, but it's definitely kind of evened out. I feel like with all these new streaming stuff.
I can't even tell you the last time where I was like, man, I'm about to go buy this album on iTunes.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's cool that the service is out there, but I definitely haven't used iTunes willingly since my iPod days, you know?
You know what? I really haven't used iTunes willingly unless somebody gave me a gift card.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Torrents.
Which you should totally not listen to on our account.
unless you have ownership and you are just re-downloading it so you don't ruin your disc.
Yeah, that's true. And that's what a lot of emulation stuff is with gaming is with it. Well, it kind of makes sense with the old school stuff because you don't want to.
Yeah, man, I can't blow on a cartridge forever.
Yeah. Plus, all that stuff does get damaged, especially like the CDs from like the PS1 days. That does get damaged really quickly. In case if you haven't heard, we do have some emails that we do read from time to time based on some questions that you have either from wrestling or anything really. But if you want to send us something, go ahead and email us at halfkmail@gmail.com, or you can respond back to any of our AMA Instagram stories. We put one up every week, and yeah, feel free to ask us any questions there, and we'll answer some on a future episode. This week, I kind of kept it simple. I saw this one and was like, yeah, we haven't really answered this one yet, and it's a pretty simple question. This one comes from Anne from New York. She wants to know, and she said no limit, but she said maybe top three. We now we have to talk about. Now we have to talk about.
Shout out to Master P, baby. Master P got his start in Richmond, California, too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he got his start in Richmond, California, even though he's from New Orleans. Richmond, house, bro.
The question is, what are your actual current favorites from NXT right now? I will go ahead and take it first since like I read this beforehand, so I feel like you have the disadvantage. We'll switch it up next time, and we'll let you pick out a question, and then I'll go ahead and.
Ooh, for sure.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But I had just a few minutes to think about it. So from the top of my head, I'm not putting these in any order, but just the top three in my opinion. I definitely got to give a shout out to my boy Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh, Kyle, yeah, Kyle.
I love Undisputed Era, but he's definitely my boy from that stable, just because he is like kind of the goofiest dude.
Facts.
And he also has, I forget which type of diabetes. I think type 1 or type 2. Well, there's only
one.
Yeah. Where it wasn't, based, like he has to take like a shot before the matchup.
Oh.
And then sometimes he kind of also needs to take one literally during the match. So I got to give him props for, like, if I didn't know that, like listening to him on another podcast, I would have never known. So that's how much of a professional he is, where he still goes out there despite like having that medical condition.
Nice.
And, rocks it every single time. And I feel bad because I never really followed him on the ROH scene when he was with Red Dragon. But ever since he, came up to NXT, I have never said that he's had a bad match. To me, he's like my modern day Christian. You know what I mean?
Where just solid like all the time.
Yeah, he's just like solid and always reliable and always plays his part. And hopefully, if they end up splitting up either on NXT or on the main roster, I hope he gets like just as a good run compared to Christian,
Yeah, no, for real. Like, I think like Kyle O'Reilly right now, everybody will kind of think of him as a tag team dude, but he's really not. Mm-hmm. Like he had like a solid singles run in ROH as champ, for sure. So he's not just that tag team dude.
Did Bobby Fish ever win it, or was he just a tag guy?
I really couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
I seen Red Dragon a little bit, mostly like in some like New Japan shows on Access TV.
Yeah,
shout out to Access. But keep going, dude.
Yeah. So for me, I picked out one of the girls. Obviously, they've kind of rated the women's roster throughout the years, but as far as current, I kind of have to go with Xia Li, because if you've seen her throughout kind of those specials and how they've brought her up during the female Royal Rumble, they've done a good job of slowly building her, but at the same time, you can tell that she's probably the most passionate from all the roster at this point, because you can tell how genuine she loves being there. And yeah, when I saw that, I think it was on YouTube or on NXT, where they kind of announced or showcased their reactions of them being selected to be part of the Royal Rumble. This was for the guys and girls, when I think it was Kyrie, Xia, and Candice, and then for the guys, I forget who it was from. Was it Gargano? Oh, yeah, Gargano and Black, I think. I think so. but in that reaction, like, you can tell how emotional she got, and she was like really honored to have that opportunity. So I really like her. Like, it's one of those things where, of course, she's green and she's still improving, but I really generally like when people actually care about their craft and really put out their hearts, and you can tell that she has like a good heart overall. So shout outs to her, and I think she's only going to get better based on how hard she's pushing herself. And yeah, I think she'll get to that level eventually,
Nice.
And my last one, and I think overall, like I said, I didn't want to put them in any order, but I think going with that same thing of like, who's the hungriest, I honestly think that my boy Dominic Dijakovic is, I think he's the hungriest guy.
I really like him.
Yeah.
But I think they just need to, right now, his look is just not good.
Yeah.
And he's like, the whole feast your eyes thing is really corny.
It is.
But he's hella dope.
Yeah.
Like, once he starts wrestling, you forget about all of that corny stuff. Like, you forget the fact that he looks like kind of like a taller, skinnier Ryback because he's got hella different colors and stuff.
Yeah.
I like the dude. And they're going to shorten his name. Yeah.
That's what it's the perfect opportunity, because he's actually doing exactly what they originally wanted to do with NXT, where it was developmental. So he's perfect right now, where he's already, really experienced, but he's making the most of getting used to the WWE/NXT style.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of how you just said, like, I'm not 100% on board with the gimmick or like his catchphrase, but how you said, once the bell rings, that's it.
He's raw, dude. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, feel free to take any of the ones that I've had too. You don't have to pick 3 different guys, but yeah.
Well, you already know who my favorite.
Definitely that's also going to be my shout out at the end of the episode. So yeah, but I think I have a pretty good idea. Yeah.
Hey, you actually know who I like? I really like Taynara Conchi.
Oh yeah,
I like her. She's really cool. Like she got a good look to her, and then like she started wrestling and get hella fierce out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So of like kind of the more greener people, quote unquote, I really like her. And then I'm a big let's see, who else do I like? I really like Rhea Ripley.
Oh yeah,
She's like a punk rock Pete Dunne, but like she taller than him.
Oh yeah.
And then I really like Mia Yim. She's dope. She's one of my favorites ever. Let's see, women.
Yeah, I think that was the thing. Because of the recent raid with WrestleMania.
Yeah,
and
there was
shakeup.
a big purge. So now I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna say that they got set back, but I think they're in a really good position to develop new people if they want to.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You don't have to just stick with the same people who have kind of been headlining stuff.
Yeah.
So I think right now they're in a really good position to create new stars, because like the women's division pretty much got raided.
Yeah.
Almost. Like you could say that Shirai and, you know, of course, like Baszler. I really like Shayna Baszler.
Mm-hmm.
Best theme. And then she just, I don't know, just for her to have been a MMA fighter and to transition so well. And then I think it's just like, I'm kind of biased at the fact that, you know, we've seen her all the way down from like high school, you know, like high school gyms to the Cow Palace to, you know what I'm saying, like Takeover. So like I think just thinking back on where we seen her kind of start to where she is now, I kind of hold a special spot for her, which is ironic because like the girlfriend really doesn't like her. But it's like she took a picture with her at the airport. So it's like it just goes, it's even better. And then on the men's side, outside of like the obvious, like I really like Gargano, I really like Dream, and I really like Ciampa. Outside of that, I would probably say that I like Roderick Strong.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
As when it comes to like in between the ropes, and you know who's gonna just like throw it all out there with just action and like 11 different types of backbreakers.
Yeah.
And just all kind of cool stuff. Roddy to me is kind of like Chris Benoit, to where like character wise, there's not much there.
Yeah.
But in between the ropes, you can't deny how good the dude is.
Yeah.
So Roderick Strong is up there of like one of the guys that I really check for. I think this is cheating, but I really like Pete Dunne. He's like one of my favorite dudes. Just overall in WWE, I think Pete Dunne is probably up there. I really like him.
Yeah.
I'm really gonna be excited when he hits the main roster. If that's a plan for the UK people, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think the Street Profits are growing on me, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it's not even between the ropes, because between the ropes, I think they're average. No offense to them.
Yeah.
But their characters would really shines, I think. And I like their character. And I thought they were just like a corny stereotype, but like they grew on me. So
Exactly.
I'm digging that.
I was kind of afraid that they would get into like that prime time players.
It was getting close.
Yeah. I think for something I asked you earlier this week, I think they're not on my top, but I definitely see potential in the Forgotten Sons, but not as the Forgotten Sons, if that makes any sense.
No, that makes all the sense in the world, because the Forgotten Sons, like we were talking about, is we had them kind of pegged as like a TNA tag team that's 10 years too late.
Yeah.
But like the guys in the group are solid. Like they all got, you know, I mean, they all look kind of generic, no offense to them. They just, you know, they're all dudes with kind of long hair with beards, and they're kind of muscular, but they're good. Like I like when they get between the ropes, I like watching them wrestle. So yeah, I think they just maybe don't need to be together.
Exactly.
I think Wesley Blake kind of got shafted out of not getting a singles run. So I think there's more to him than just being a tag team guy.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree. And kind of how we mentioned, I think once, they either split them, or when they move up, and they hopefully move up into different gimmicks, I think that's where they'll definitely shine a bit more than their kind of gimmick that they have now. So
Mhm.
cool.
Like, I just don't get it. Like, what?
Yeah.
Who? Nobody's forgotten about you guys. The only one we kind of forgot about was Wesley Blake.
Exactly.
And that's because he left because he had a kid.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You know, but I understand. But the other, like Cutler, like, you weren't even nowhere before we had a chance to forget you. And Riker came from another company.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Y'all not forgotten? You're just sons.
The Suns. Cool. Well, thanks again for the question. And yeah, if you have any of your own questions, feel free to send us an email or answer our Instagram stories. So yeah, we'll get into the episode now. This is now episode 13. I will let you go ahead and take the episode facts because I am bad at pronouncing stuff, as you know.
Right here, this episode is May 18th, 2010. You remember anything about May 18th?
It's one day before May 19th.
Ooh.
Kane Day.
There we go. That's his birthday, isn't it?
No, it's that movie thing that
Oh,
we went.
man. You know what? May 19th is some wrestler's birthday, and I know we talked about this, and I know I forgot it, but I know it's somebody's birthday.
I'll definitely. I'm making a note of it now that we'll have it for you on the next episode.
It's got to be. I know it's somebody's birthday. But we are in Ottawa, Ontario at the Scotia Place.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like Nova Scotia.
Gotcha.
It's the Scotia Bank Place.
Uh-huh.
Scotia Bank. Yeah, that's what it is, man. I've never been to Ottawa, Ontario, or Canada in general, so I don't have any like little tidbits there.
I definitely want to go. My sister and brother-in-law have gone once or twice already, and yeah, they said it's amazing. It's kind of everything that we've heard throughout the years, where Canadians are just nice, and I definitely want to go there. Cool. So this week we start off with a video recap. I like that they're actually including these again, just because of the importance that have started to, we're coming to an end pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been doing a really good recap of doing the elimination recaps and just overall like the storylines throughout the episodes. The WWE Network did make it a little bit harder for me. I don't know if you noticed with this episode where they didn't include bookmarks, sadly, for this episode. So it made it a little bit harder for me to keep my notes and time tracking on point. But if you guys ever need QA, WWE Network, let me know.
Wink.
Wink. I'm down to test stuff like that because you've been pretty consistent up till episode 12. So I think that one just slipped you by,
Hey, man, I was on another website today and it said like, it was supposed to say we deliver, but it said we delivery. And I was like, come on, man, you can't let... Professional, man.
I was talking about that with some coworkers from my Zynga days. And yeah, it's interesting how the phrase is, you can probably not be on the clock, but it's one of those things where you can be out of QA, but the QA can never be out of you. And that's the thing where like, I always spot stuff all the time when it comes to just like typos or just like, I'm just like, I know someone messed up. In a way, yeah, I think they did a really good job of recapping the last 3 eliminations and, keeping everyone informed of what the pros poll was. Now we start off the episode and Stryker introduces the pros this week, which is pretty cool. They kind of switched it up here. They do kind of a pros feedback / Q&A session here. I had here that they only had 6 pros. So it was the 6 that we had, but the 2 missing were Carlito and R-Truth. But they never actually said why they weren't there. At first, I thought it was because if your rookie was eliminated, then you didn't have to be there. But it was just those 2 that were out. So
hey, they pulled a fast one because I saw a less number of pros, so I assumed it's because some of the guys got eliminated. But now hearing it, I'm like, oh, y'all got me.
Yeah. So
bamboozled.
So I was like, okay, why is Carlito and R-Truth not? I looked it up. And I couldn't find anything. But yeah, half K wise, I'm just like, yeah, they just didn't want to go anymore.
Man, we have to. Like, is my guy getting eliminated? My guy's already eliminated. So who cares?
Yeah. I liked how Jericho came out. He is always in character. I had here where he just came out walking out super serious and Jericho like, and I just really like how how well not only him but Regal stayed a character where Regal comes out looking super sly, not as serious as Jericho, but he definitely just came out super cool veteran status kind of guy. You know what I mean?
That's because those dudes, they've wrestled in WCW, so they know what it's like to not be professional.
Yeah. They know their way.
they cherish professionalism now that they're in a real organization. Not to say WCW was not, because it was like always my dream to be the WCW Cruiserweight Champion.
Yeah.
But from what I've heard and podcasts listened to, WCW was a shit show.
Yeah. If you need any proof, I'm sure you can just Google or YouTube any WCW stories and you'll hear a bunch.
Or you can watch the Monday Night Wars on the WWE Network. Shameless plug.
I was waiting for that. And then Stryker reminds the crowd that there will actually be another elimination tonight. So kind of how we mentioned in the last episode where like they're definitely kicking it into high gear now, where they're like, oh crap, we only have 15 episodes to go, or like we only had 15 episodes, now we have to really like speed this up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Stryker says that the pros will be, he asked them pretty much what they're looking for in the remaining rookies. Miz says that he's looking for the it factor. Regal says he's looking more for adaptability, which I like because with everything that had been going on with the challenges and people watching, what they say compared to Bryan and Tarver, like those things were kind of wild cards in themselves. So I like that Regal brought up adaptability because you have to be kind of ready for everything,
Yep.
Once Stryker asked Punk, the fans boo Punk like right away.
Mm-hmm.
So Punk just says like he doesn't want to like talk to the crowd anyway. So I like how he kind of freestyled it there, I feel like, because he saw the reaction that people gave him, and so he was like, oh fine, I'm not gonna talk if you guys are gonna like boo me right away. So
yeah, CM Punk is always really good at like not necessarily going off the script, but just more kind of embodying what Regal was saying of like adaptability for him to be like, nope, never mind.
Yeah, like reading the crowd. And yeah. I like that. And yeah, how you just mentioned it does show that adaptability at that point. Christian then says he's looking for someone who will take the competition for themselves, and also agrees with the Miz on the whole it factor. I like that part where even though they're heels and faces, they do agree on like the principles of what they're looking for in a NXT superstar. So yeah, I really like that. Then it was kind of funny because then all of a sudden Regal and Christian kind of get into like a slight argument where Regal all of a sudden just says like, oh, the it factor. That's funny because I haven't seen the it factor from Christian in 10 years. And I was like, damn.
Like, burn.
That really threw me off guard. I was like, whoa.
Man, why you had to serve him like that, bro? Like, damn, me supposed to just go to the next person to get on with the conversation.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, that came out of nowhere. And like the crowd too was like, oh.
Ooh, you don't want to talk to you like this, bro? Captain Charisma?
Christian! I'm looking for somebody that's going to capture the imagination of the WWE Universe. I'm looking for somebody that's going to step up and take this competition themselves. And you know something, I hate to say I'm actually going to agree with The Miz here, but I'm looking for someone to show me it. The it factor. Some of the contestants here, I've seen it. Some, I've seen none of it. One in particular that's still here tonight. Is that person going to change my mind? We'll see.
When are you going to show me it? You haven't shown me it in 10 years. When are you going to show me it?
I showed you it when I beat you. I don't know how many times in a row.
Matt, what are you looking for out of the WWE's next breakout star?
But then Hardy says that he agrees with everyone's points so far, but he really wants someone who can survive not only in the ring, but in the locker room, because he says like the backstage stuff is just as important as what's going on in the ring. And I really like that. And kind of back to the point I brought up a couple of episodes ago, where I think because of that, I think Hardy is going to make like an amazing coach at the Performance Center someday, because he really has that really good insight of just providing commentary for the average listener and also for like the boys in the back. So yeah,
that's because Matt Hardy exemplifies a lot of people from that generation too, like of I'm gonna be a backyard wrestler and then a wrestler, and then like he and his brother, they turned their backyard wrestling federation into like a real company, like real indie company, that Omega Arts.
Yeah,
like, they turned into a real company. They got championships and all that stuff. So I was like, that's dope. Stuck with it, and they did exactly it. So like they'll be able to really like empathize with, I think, a whole different cast of like people who are interested in sports entertainment. You know?
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Where you can tell, even though Jeff kind of joined along him and it wasn't really his passion, he stuck by Matt the whole time because that's how passionate Matt was, where he was passionate for the both of them. And it really stuck through to this day. So really cool, really cool. Then from there, Jericho is up next and he gets a good pop. And Jericho says that he wants someone who the fans will spend money on, which, makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that made hell sense. I was like, oh, yeah. Because you have to think about it. It's like when you're buying tickets for a show, you look at like, oh, who's supposed to be there? And he was like, they gave you a little program with it, but like Carlito, Santino, and like the Great Khali. I don't think I want to go.
Yeah. It's kind of the thing you brought up on another episode where everyone has their spot on the show for something kind of like a highlight. So if you kind of how you just said, like if you read the card and then if you see like Ricochet and you're like, oh, well, I got to go because I know he's the guy who does like a lot of flips.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I already know I'm going to get my money's worth with this one guy if they just give him like a 5-minute match.
Yeah. So pretty cool. And then, yeah, right off the bat, Stryker just says that the rookies have to prove themselves right now. And they kind of go through the first match right now. And Punk comes out, or I should say, Punk meets Young halfway through the entrance ramp. And then Punk just goes back to his seat. From there, we have our first matchup, which is Darren Young versus Wade Barrett. They kind of do a video recap and describe the incident that they went through 2 weeks ago, which I like. It also kind of gave me a little recap of like why they're beefing with each other. And yeah, it was pretty much that brawl at the end of the elimination where Young was kind of pointing at everyone, and then Barrett just kind of pie-faced him, and then they started brawling. So yeah, I like that they kind of gave us a quick recap of why these guys are beefing with each other.
Nice.
Jericho actually joins Barrett down to the ring. Then Young starts off the match by tackling Barrett down with a couple of punches. They roll out to the outside and they start fighting out there for like a little bit. Jericho, of course, starts yelling at Michael Cole and Josh again from ringside, which is always brilliant by Jericho. Barrett starts working the back again and ramming him on the apron like previous weeks where he's mostly attacking the back. Both men do like a mistimed double clothesline, which kind of surprised each other. Like you can kind of see their reactions where once they hit it, they both kind of like didn't know how to follow up from that. So, just a slight stumble there. Barrett then reverses him and hits the wasteland for the victory at 3:11. So it was kind of a short match. They did okay, but I think that kind of mix up that they had with the clotheslines kind of threw them off a little bit.
Yeah, it was a nice sprint of a match. It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
In retrospect, like after watching it, like when I first watched it, I was like, oh man, it's a nice little match. And like now I'm thinking about it, I was like, there was really nothing to that match. Other than, like the start and the finish. It was very fast.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those things where I was wondering how they were going to fill time for the episodes with less and less rookies happening. So I assumed that the matches would be longer, but it wasn't the case. So that's what kind of threw me off is that the matches are still staying at that 3 to 5 minute range, even though we have less rookies now. So kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a little, it's kind of lackluster.
Yeah. So from there we get a video package for David Otunga. This one is very similar to the last few videos where it's mostly the pros kind of giving feedback on Otunga's status. Hardy says he kind of got a free pass to get here just because of his fiance fame. And Kristen kind of makes a joke saying that, like, what, is he kind of engaged to
Kelly
Clark? It's really funny how he didn't even know who he was actually engaged to.
Man, he knows. That's why he said Kelly Clarkson, because they was both on American Idol.
Yeah.
Trying to play me, Christian.
I bet you he's like a secret closet, like
Definitely he's a fan.
Yeah.
Him and Edge probably sing Idol. They look like Idol singers.
Yeah. Punk kind of rags on him on Otunga saying
he
like,
wears sunglasses inside.
Mr. NXT, the A-list, David Otunga.
Google me.
My rookie, David Otunga.
David Otunga has an incredible amount of things going for him.
He has the it factor.
As far as standing out as a personality, he's probably number one on the list.
I've got more charisma than anybody up here.
I haven't necessarily seen the in-ring talent come up to match the persona yet.
He's probably the worst NXT rookie. And I gotta be blunt. He's gonna hurt himself. I don't see superstar when I see David Otunga.
He actually kind of got here on a little bit of a free pass.
Who's he engaged to? Like Kelly Clarkson or something like that?
Jennifer Hudson.
Jennifer Hudson, whatever. Same thing.
When he's walking down to the ring, I want to slap his little silly shades off.
He wears sunglasses indoors.
Sometimes we can be our own worst enemy.
Doesn't mean that he can't learn. He's getting opportunities that people with just his skill wouldn't get.
Not everybody gets a chance to be in the ring with the superstars of today and get to learn from them. Being in the ring with me, watching me work, working with me, hopefully he'll apply that.
And I think that's what's going to have to happen for him to win NXT.
I really like this video package. It kind of balanced out Otunga's pros and cons. So
I liked it too. I just don't like David Otunga. But, I mean, for what he is, I think that just means he's doing his job right.
Exactly, yeah.
Because, I really just don't like that fool.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, ugh. And he's like, yeah, you're not supposed to like it. I bet you he'd be hella cool to just have a conversation with.
Oh, yeah. Probably like one of the smartest conversations you could probably have.
He's a goddamn lawyer. Big buff lawyer wrestler. Handsome. Like, what?
So from there we go to a commercial break. And once we come back, I was kind of surprised because they didn't really hype this up that much, where Matt Striker is actually going to interview Michael Tarver and Daniel Bryan, which were the two guys eliminated from last week. I say eliminated because technically they were eliminated by WWE management. And I'll get to that point later on. But so right off the bat, Cole is already on Bryan's back and saying like, oh, great, he's back kind of a thing. So they're still continuing that story between Daniel Bryan and Michael Cole, even though that Bryan has already been eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
They replay the eliminations from last week. Stryker then says that now that they've had a week to think about everything and how they actually felt from being eliminated, he gives Tarver the mic first, and Tarver makes a good point how the rookies were told week after week that the pros' decision was going to cost them their elimination spot, basically. And, since they were supposed to rank them, but then how I just mentioned, like WWE management actually eliminated him. So who exactly is WWE management? And yeah, I kind of agreed with him there, where if you're being told this, and this, and you didn't really set a clear rules with the whole competition, then I would be surprised too to be eliminated based on a promo that I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Tarver always makes good points.
Yeah.
But then he'll mess it up with the offbeat metaphor or comparison.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, so how come you didn't really, try on none of the challenges? And he'll go, well, if you see a group of limos and one of them looks different, which one are you going to look at first? And then they're like, what?
and yeah, I agree, because then there was that time when he was like, oh yeah, who have you beat? And then Skip was like, well, I beat more people than you. You just literally got your first victory. So I definitely agree with you, where everything that he says sounds really good.
He'd be like, man, it sounds great. And then he messes it up. You're like, dude, what?
Yeah.
You forget about that great point that he just made because he just finished it up with something hella stupid. You're what does that have to do with? Come on, man.
Yeah. And then he does bring up that point with the limos, and then he kind of says that he did everything he could to stand out. But yeah, and then at that point, Stryker still cuts him off, even though he was about to keep going. So I kind of felt bad for him that he pretty much just still didn't get the same respect compared to Bryan or some of the other guys. So I guess that's the gimmick that they're rolling with him, is just that smart guy who's kind of right, but we're still gonna just like cut you off from time to time.
Yeah, man, he's like he great points, but that next one just didn't really sit well, Mike. Mr. Tarver. Surprised he wasn't wearing a self-branded t-shirt.
Oh yeah.
That guy. Love it.
Well, hashtags weren't a thing back then.
Oh man, Michael Tarver would have had the illest hashtags. I'm a pit bull.
Yeah.
I'm a bulldog.
Yeah, he would have been rocking like hashtag shirts for sure.
Oh man. Oh, the hashtag game would have been awesome with all of these dudes.
Yeah.
Yep. What it do?
So then Stryker interviews Bryan next, and the crowd give him a decent pop as soon as like he kind of gives them the mic. He asks them the same question of how he's been feeling after the elimination last week. He says that he was kind of his own worst enemy and kind of eliminated himself. Bryan says something similar, that WWE management is the one that, eliminated him, and that he's heard before coming to the WWE that there's been backstage politics and that Vince just loves big guys and doesn't really give guys his size an equal opportunity. But he says he's a self-made man. I like that Stryker is kind of trying to stop him from like saying the stuff that he is, because he is kind of blurring the lines of being, half K in a sense, where he's in character, but now he's kind of going into business for himself. And mostly that Bryan then says that mostly that the WWE machine doesn't make money off guys of him, and then but he's still like the best person for the job. And Cole, you can hear him still making sly comments like "says who" and stuff like that. So he's still just like egging him on and like really adding on to that story. Stryker then tells Bryan that if he wants to answer any of his critics who said that he eliminated himself based off his comments, and Bryan points out that the pro says how good he is, and then points at this point that's when Cole really gets angry and starts saying, why is he even here? Like, he's been eliminated, blah 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 blah. Then Bryan calls out the Miz, saying that he knows that how good he is, that he's even better than the Miz, and the crowd really popped for that line. I love the next part where Miz starts talking back, and he says, "Oh, you're better than me." And then both Regal and Punk are like grinning and smiling, nodding their heads in agreement with Daniel Bryan.
He is.
They're not even gonna like deny it. Yeah, Bryan is definitely better than the Miz.
Come on, Miz, you need to sit right back down right now.
Yeah. Miz then I thought he did an amazing job actually defending himself and listing out his accomplishments, and then saying that, the only thing that Daniel Bryan has ever done is just eliminate himself. So yeah, Miz did a really good job of really just defending himself and kind of putting him in his place.
Like, meh, take that.
You can kind of hear it, but because Miz was talking over him, Regal was kind of saying, no, Miz, he is really better than you. So I thought that was really good.
I'm going back to hear that.
Yeah. Like, you can barely hear him. He kind of cuts him off, but Regal was really on Bryan's side the whole time. Stryker then tries to cut him off, but then he says that the one thing he doesn't miss about NXT is that how many times
Stryker cuts him off.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool that finally, like, he fights back against Stryker, and Stryker, since he just cut off Tarver earlier, that, actually put him in his place.
Stryker was getting away with some pretty crucial bullying.
Yeah.
Like on the low, just like, wait a minute, you kind of mean to them.
Yeah. So he got him back on that one. Bryan then says that there's actually still one person that still doesn't acknowledge how good he is, and then he looks directly at Michael Cole. At that point, he says that Cole is pretty much just a parrot, and I like how Josh is starting to grin like the whole time that like he's attacking Cole now. Then he actually starts making his way over to the Cole and starts yelling at him, saying that he's a poor man's version of JR.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I popped.
Yeah. And yeah, after a while, he, gets up in his face and starts shoving him, and eventually just pie faces him. And Stryker runs out there, try to separate both of them, but Bryan gets some good kicks in before like he actually separates him.
Yeah, he beat him up pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is great.
The crowd was like really, really behind Bryan during this whole thing. They were supportive during like the first matchup, but they really came alive during like this part of the show.
It's like when you sitting and you kind of bored in your seat, and it's like, oh, hey, Hey, look, hey, he get him. Hey, oh, look at that.
Yeah. That was pretty much the reaction that the fans had. They were like, oh crap, something is actually happening.
Look, he going over there by Michael Cole.
Yeah. It's one of those things too. Like, I think it would have been cool to see in the live crowd because you know how we can't hear anything. So for them to just kind of see like a wrestler going after the commentary team, you're like, oh crap, like is that supposed to happen?
It looked good too, like the way he was kind of pie facing them. Like,
yeah. That's what I liked about it is that then the referees came down and separated both guys. But yeah, so far they've been doing like the storyline very, very realistically, where like they don't make it too corny, kind of similar to current security angles where like security can't separate guys. So I think they did a really good job throughout this segment of making it realistic, where like once they separated them, then that was it. Like they didn't keep.
Yeah, it's not like Daniel Bryan ran over there and like dove on him over the table or nothing like that, or like like Cole didn't get mad and like hit him in the back with a chair. Nothing extreme. It was like he was frustrated. He was screaming at him. Cole was backing up. Bryan lost his cool.
Yeah.
Started shoving him and kicking him.
Yeah.
But like that was fine. I really like that little segment right there.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think that's why it came off so good because of how natural it looked on camera.
Mm-hmm. Where does this
There
guy
is
get
one
off?
person, only one person, who refuses to acknowledge how good I am. And he keeps saying that I have no personality. He keeps saying that I don't have the it factor. Michael Cole, you're just a parrot, okay?
A parrot.
Those people, you've got Vince McMahon in your ear telling you all the time to tell these people that I don't have it.
Yeah, and I do,
You think because I don't watch television, because I'm a vegan, that I don't have it, that I don't have personality.
Yeah,
I have more
but I'm
personality in my little finger than you have in your whole being.
Now.
You are a poor man's replacement. You are a poor man's replacement. JR, you're a poor man's Oh, what?
So from there we go to a commercial break, and then they do a replay of everything that just happened. And then the camera does a close-up shot of Josh and Cole at their broadcast table. Josh was pretty much just asking him if Cole was okay. Cole says if Bryan doesn't... I did like this point by Cole. He was like, if Bryan doesn't take criticism well from him and starts attacking announcers, how is he going to survive in the WWE locker room? So I thought that was actually a really good point where even though, like Cole was pretty much being a bully against Bryan this whole time, it does actually bring up a good point that, if he can't take criticism from him, then how's he going to get it from the fans? Or
man, if you can't take the heat, get up out the kitchen. Don't just start fighting your food, baby.
Yeah, like it's pretty much the old cliche, and
it really is.
Yeah,
but it came from Michael Cole, so it was almost kind of like, well, you had it coming. But to be fair, he didn't.
Yeah.
He's allowed to say what he wants.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where he's a heel-ish, but I kind of agree. Yeah, it made sense. And the same thing where Bryan, we talked about him kind of also blurring the lines of he was kind of egotistical. And when I thought about it, he was also saying like, oh yeah, there's still one guy who won't acknowledge my greatness. I was like, but does he really have to? Yeah.
Does this one guy make you that mad, Mr. Bryan?
Yeah,
You have to go beat him up because you need everybody to love you.
Yeah. And
he's in the wrong.
And, as much as Cole has been a bully, Bryan was kind of a bully too by saying he was a poor man's version of JR. So
yeah, man, that was low.
Yeah. So I was like, you're both kind of right and kind of wrong at the same time. So I kind of like it because it kind of makes it where you can kind of see it from either guy's point,
Oh yeah, it's like from a wrestling standpoint, I understand on the storyline that Daniel Bryan is the good guy here.
Yeah.
But in a life logical situation, when I hear these words, I don't know if you're really that much of a good guy, Mr. Danielson.
Yeah, exactly. Cole says that Bryan should be pretty much arrested and that Cole still has to call the rest of the show, and he still has to call it because he respects the other rookies who actually want to be here and win. So I like that point of view where even though Howie just said like they're kind of blurring the lines between if Cole is like a full on heel or if he's still just trying to be professional. I did like that part where like he was saying where, you know, he still wants to respect the show based on like the rookies who want to be here. So I like that part. Then we go to our main event, which is Justin Gabriel versus Heath Slater. At this point, then they still kind of focus on Michael Cole at the announcer's table. Cole does a good job of listing out Gabriel's immunity status, where he said last week he had it and, you know, it didn't really matter, but this week he doesn't have it anymore, so nothing can save him in case if he does get last place. So it was pretty cool. The only thing I would say is like I hope that they kind of had something similar again this week to, you know, bring up the immunity again, but it was really a one-time thing that they did throughout the season. So that was my only feedback of like, well, it would have been cool if they actually had it and then used it in that storyline where the person voted last actually used the immunity and then
it's like, no, I'm not last.
Yeah.
But you know, they ran an episode.
Yeah. I bet you they were trying to pull that out.
There's that one guy who was like, oh, I got this perfect thing mapped out. I just need 18 episodes.
Yeah.
Yes. And they was like, hey, we got 15. Come on.
Yeah, right before this match started, I kind of wanted to give Slater a shout out on his slick new red gear this week, where he had more character stuff, where he had the guitars on his trunk, and it definitely, you know, fit his personality, of course. And yeah, he's really standing out on his own at this point.
They're really putting over that one man rock band thing too, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
He calls himself the one man rock band. I was like, oh man, you've been doing this from the get go.
Yeah. Wow. And it works. Like that's how people remember him now. So if you definitely stick to your gimmick and, you know, how he's doing in this episode where he's actively promoting himself and to stand out, I thought it was pretty cool. And yeah, as the match starts, then Cole gets frustrated again and says, you know what? I am actually going to press charges against Bryan and that, you know, he's had enough of all this. And then, yeah, he just kind of walks off. It's kind of cool, but I'll get into it after, you know, I recap this match. But yeah, he just kind of storms off at that point.
He took his ball and left.
Yeah. From there, the match kind of starts and Gabriel does a nice crossbody dive from the outside, but Slater counters himself and
kicked him.
Yeah, he kicked him like midair and the crowd really like popped for that as well.
Matt Hardy too. He's like, ooh.
Yeah. It threw me off guard because I didn't see that coming either.
And me, I was like, here we go. Nice, get a plancha over here. Whoa. I think Gabriel was ready for that. Maybe Slater was just not ready to bump me. No.
Yeah. And Gabriel, of course, like how I said, he's the master of selling at this point. So he really sold that kick really well.
Odds are he wasn't selling it.
Yeah.
Bam. Nice toe kick.
From there, Slater brings Gabriel back into the ring and continues attacking the ribs, which I really liked. The crowd, like I said, is really into this match. I think it kind of goes back to the points that we were mentioning that both Slater and Gabriel are pretty much over at this point. Yeah.
The crowd went nuts when the theme songs hit too. Like once that, who came out first? Gabriel came out first. Like once that Matt Hardy like beginning hit, the crowd went crazy.
Yeah.
And then Christian's theme gets them crazy, so they were going into this match hot.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, they didn't care about Michael Cole leaving.
Yeah.
Well, it's our two favorite energy guys with music.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I was looking forward to this match too. When I saw it, I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be a good match." And then the crowd adding to the whole thing like definitely made it better. Gabriel does a really nice spinning heel kick reversal.
Oh, yeah.
And, gets the advantage and then counters Gabriel with a really nice Arn Anderson I had ready. If you don't know, Spinebuster. But, yeah, it looked really, really good. And he got the near fall after that. Gabriel then does a nice kick from the corner. And, yeah, he just hits the 450 for the win. I will say that I'll get into this in my overall scoring at the end, but kind of like what I just mentioned where I was really anticipating this match, but then once the finish came at 2:43, I was like, I just wanted a little bit more just because of how well I knew these guys were going to blend, and then was a little disappointed of how short the match was.
I definitely was disappointed. Although I think that might have been Justin Gabriel's best 450 on the show so far. That thing was beautiful. He got like the right angle going up, and his rotation was perfect. It looked really good. I think Josh commented on that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was a very short match, and it will be reflected as such in the scoring. But I mean, it was still. I think both matches were still pretty good for what they were. To break, because I think this episode was mainly about like mini segments and talking.
Yeah.
So the matches were like a nice interlude, because I think, you know, if you're going to give me all this talking for all this time, then expect me to pay attention to a long match, it may be like counterintuitive, but the short matches work well enough.
Exactly. I think when we get to the scoring, I'll definitely agree with everything that you just said too.
Mm-hmm.
After the match, I did like how all 4 guys are pretty much baby faces, so they do like the baby face respect spot afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I liked it, and it shows like each of their characters like coming into place.
Mm-hmm.
Then we cut back to Josh, who is solo at this point, and Josh kind of recaps it for the audience who are just tuning in of what had happened earlier. And then I have poor Skip on my notes because hear me out. It's kind of weird how we had a full blown out segment for Michael Tarver and Daniel Bryan, who were eliminated from WWE management, but now we have just a backstage promo for Skip, and he's by himself, so it's not even Stryker who's interviewing him. And so this is a guy who was actually eliminated from like the rules and the competition side of it. And yeah, they only give him like a few minutes and just like this cutaway backstage shot of him just like bringing up his feedback from being
his side of the story, basically.
Yeah.
So tell him how you feel, Skip. Well, they were intimidated by my size, by my physique, by my overall intensity. And that's all I remember.
Yeah. So yeah, I felt bad because he did nothing wrong. He followed by the rules. And, you know, he also gave respect when he was eliminated. And yeah, they kind of gave him the shaft. Like you would think that he would also get like some, you know, in-ring promo time. But yeah, they just kind of...
He's right. You know what? They were intimidated.
Yeah.
Leave Skip Sheffield alone, man. That was my guy, too. I like that dude.
Yeah.
Still mad he got eliminated. Damn, no love, though.
No love. Yeah, that's what I had here.
You don't even get a backstage interviewer. You don't get a mic.
Yeah.
Damn, and he's wearing Echo.
Yeah. You could have at least had Savannah backstage and, you know, just holding the mic, something. But
yeah, at least her arm.
Yeah.
So just put a mic in front of his mouth or something, make it seem like, you know, come on, man. Nobody wanted to tell him to button up one of his buttons either.
Yeah.
Come on, man. No love for Skip.
No worries, Skip. You just had to wait 9 years for us to do a podcast to give you the love that you respect, you know, the love that you deserve.
That you actually love and that you actually need and deserve. Skip Sheffield, we got your back here at Half K Podcast. Holler at your boys, man. Let's get this man some fan art.
Yes. It will happen.
Last week, the WWE pros voted off me, Skip Sheffield, off of NXT. And it's quite simple. You see, they viewed me as a threat. They're intimidated by me, by my size, my physique, my intensity, my desire to be the best. It's just like that TV show Survivor. They took out the biggest, baddest threat, and they took him out first.
We go to commercial break, and they kind of do the over the limit video promos. And after that, then Cole actually comes back to the announcer's table. He says that he's not going to let that creep ruin the show for him, and starts promoting the Over the Limit pay-per-view. After that, then we get Darren Young's pros feedback video package. Mm-hmm. Jericho says that in the first pros poll, he actually put Young in last place, which is pretty cool. Like you finally kind of get some of the pros on how they actually voted.
Mm-hmm.
I like the response that Punk had where he answers his critics because Young says that like he got stuck with Punk as a coach,
mm-hmm.
and saying like that's been like a negative. But if you kind of if you compare it to The Miz, he's kind of saying that, you know, everyone has their own way of teaching. So I did like that part where Punk kind of defended himself in that way where, you know, it may seem like he got the bad luck of being teamed up with Punk, but in a way, he's kind of right, because he did eventually, start supporting Punk halfway through and was actually sticking by him and actually, being loyal to Darren Young at that point.
That's tough love.
Yeah, exactly.
But, little hands off, but the hand is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Training wheels.
Then they do a video package of Young and Barrett from earlier tonight. Then the pros start gathering around to do the final voting. And we go to commercial break. And then, we come back to the second pros poll elimination. And Stryker reminds the audience of the prize. It was kind of interesting where now he says that they'll win a championship match on a pay-per-view, but doesn't say that it's their choosing anymore, which they
had to pull that one back real fast.
Yeah. So I was like, it's funny how they're slowly kind of changing it throughout the week. So kind of interesting. So from there they get right to it. That's the part I do kind of like, is that they kind of don't beat around the bush as much anymore, that they kind of go right into the rankings right away.
Oh yeah, no dilly-dally.
Yeah. So in first place, Wade Barrett actually remains in his first place spot.
Damn right.
As well as Otunga stays firmly on number 2.
Killing me.
Slater actually moves up to number 3.
Damn right.
Then it is between Gabriel and Darren Young. So they kind of call him up, and at this point, Gabriel comes in fourth place, and Darren Young has officially been eliminated with the best record. So
but looking at those 5, he was the obvious choice.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah, I agree, because to start off, like, it's kind of weird, because how I mentioned that Punk and Young didn't get along at first, but once he actually beat Gallows, that's where he really picked up momentum. And storyline wise, I liked it, because it kind of showed that Darren Young had kicked it up a notch and actually started getting on a winning streak. So it was a bit of a surprise to me that he actually got eliminated. But when you compare it to the other rookies there, then it did kind of make sense that he would be next. But I did like his character building going out, where he definitely was more, he was catching momentum at that point.
You know what? In all honesty, outside of the 450 splash, it should have been Gabriel.
Yeah.
Like, he's still the most stale on the mic. He just literally has that 450. Like, if he was out there doing moonsaults, he would have got eliminated.
Yeah. From there, Stryker actually gives him the mic and says that, you can actually go up to the pros and tell them how you feel about their decision. So I like this, and I like the swerve too, because typically we've had like everyone, coming off kind of bitter, with the exception of Skip, where he kind of kept it professional. But I was kind of expecting him to kind of go the same way as Michael Tarver and Daniel Bryan. But he actually says that, he just wants to thank the WWE Universe, and that, he's felt like this was home to him. And he kind of thanks all the pros. And then he even calls out Punk, saying, like, even though that there's been differences between him, that he actually has respect for him. And he went down the line to through all the pros, similar to that promo he did a couple of weeks ago with the rookies, saying that he was better than them. But in this way, he was saying that he respects him, and then he respects, Regal and Jericho and Hardy. So I thought it was pretty cool how
he went out gracefully.
The part that kind of really threw me off guard is then, as soon as he said that, then the crowd kind of turned heel on him. They were like,
they hella switched on him. I was like, what are you doing?
Like, they were cheering him on the whole time, and then the crowd is the one that actually turned on Young, and they were doing like the na goodbye chant song. And you can tell he was also genuinely surprised too.
Off. It's like, what? I just give you guys my heart.
Yeah.
This is how you repay me.
Yeah. But then even Josh and Cole, they said that even Young might feel differently about the WWE universe now, because of the reaction he's getting. But Young kind of says that, it won't be the last time you see him. And after that, then he actually got a pop again.
And he said, believe that.
Yeah. So wait, did he start saying it before Roman?
He sure did. He said, "This won't be the last time you're gonna see me. You can believe that." And he walked away. I was like, "What?
Yeah.
Come on, man."
And then I had here. Then the crowd cheered him, and I was like, "Wow, this crowd is turning more heel and face than the Big Show."
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to give you the microphone. Why don't you tell the pros poll personally what you think of their decision? Go right ahead.
You know, I was hoping this day wouldn't come, but to be quite honest, not only do I want to thank the fans in attendance for giving me the opportunity to perform in front of you guys, but I want to thank the fans at home. The difference between me and every other NXT rookie is I have respect. I have respect for you. I have respect for you. And I do have respect for you. Respect for you. Respect for you. And respect for you. I'm not going to come up here and holler and cry, but I just want to say thank you. NXT is over for me.
Shouldn't have been so nice. Class act. Well, perhaps Darren Young has a different view of the WWE universe now. Maybe he should just leave.
This is not the last time you will see of Darren Young. You can believe that.
From there, then Stryker says that now we're down to the final four and things are going to pick up even more next week. Then as they close the show, they kind of replayed the same package of what happened between Daniel Bryan and Michael Cole.
Yeah, they was loving that.
Yeah. Then Josh kind of slides in there at the last second that there'll be another elimination next week. And I find it kind of weird that Josh was the one that had to say it. I thought Stryker would have told the crowd, the live crowd that. So it was kind of interesting that he didn't make it a bigger deal that, you know, next week we're also going to have an elimination besides the semifinals. So yeah, overall that closes out the show. And I think from the stuff that we had mentioned, I think they did a pretty good job of making the show feel important, but also getting over the storyline between Daniel Bryan and Michael Cole.
Yes.
But I think, yeah, I guess I'll just roll into my my scoring here. I definitely gave commentary a 4 just based on like everything we just said, where I like how they kept the story between Cole and Bryan realistic, where Cole was on him the whole time, but he still did it in a very half-K sense where he was staying in character, but he was also not trying to let that distract the whole show. Even though that when I get to the matches part of it, he did kind of take some of the spotlight away. I think he did it enough where he kind of kept that storyline going, but him and Josh made a good point throughout the whole episode of getting over the importance of the final four and the eliminations tonight and making sure that the rookies actually did their part to stand out from each other before facing elimination. So yeah, commentary I think was under A game today. And yeah, I gave it a 4. For me, as far as matches, that's where I gave it a 2. Because yeah, kind of how we mentioned, the matches themselves were pretty good. And for especially my match of the episode with Justin Gabriel versus Heath Slater, I really liked it. And kind of how I was saying earlier that I think if they were given at least 5 more minutes, then my score would have gone up a little bit more. But the fact that, you know, we had 2 guys who were really over, the crowd was really into the match, and then to kind of cut it off really short and, you know, kind of have a slight distraction by Michael Cole in the beginning of the match, that that kind of put me a little bit lower. So even though I gave it overall a 2, I would say like there was nothing wrong with the matches. I just really wanted them to be longer. And yeah, for my fun facts of this episode, it's actually now the lowest percentage of wrestling on an NXT episode. So there was a total between the two matches tonight. It was only 5 minutes and 54 seconds of
It
actual.
didn't even break 6.
It didn't even break 6 minutes. So percentage wise, it's at 12.88% of wrestling on a 47 minute episode.
Man.
So now it's like the lowest ranked so far. So yeah, at that point I had to give it a 2 because to me I would have given it a 3 if the matches were a little bit longer.
If they were maybe 3 minutes each.
Yeah.
6 minutes.
So for production, I gave it a 3 or I should say I gave it a 3 since I really enjoyed the show. I think they did a really good job with the video packages, but it was a pretty average show, and I think it only got saved by those video packages. And I think still, yeah, they did a good job of like filming the whole exchange between Michael Cole and Daniel Bryan. So, but yeah, overall, they did a really good job tonight.
Nice.
And yeah, for entertainment, I gave it a 4 because even though the matches were short, this whole Daniel Bryan and Michael Cole storyline definitely stole the show. And throughout the whole show, I was never actually bored. It went by pretty quick, and with all the promos and yeah, the storyline, like they kept it fresh enough for me that to still be engaged. Where once that attack happened by Bryan, I was like, oh, I definitely want to know what happens next after the commercial break. So overall, I was entertained. So I gave it a 4.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think we might have a 3.5 show.
Oh man!
Because for commentary, I also went 4. Given that I felt like since they only had like 12% wrestling,
yeah,
it had to be very heavy on the commentary side. So I was very like I guess sympathetic towards what they had to achieve to really get the show over.
Yeah.
Matches I also went to because there was like only 2 matches and it didn't hit 6 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 minutes isn't like my barometer. I would prefer like at least 10 minutes of wrestling. Yeah. But if you're not even going to give me 6, that's below average.
Yeah.
Production, I went 4 just because I tied production and commentary kind of together.
Yeah.
As they were like the main offerings of the show. And then entertainment, I went 3 because I thought it was just like an average show to me. There was nothing that really jumped out that made me say I would probably watch this again, other than CM Punk saying that like he wears sunglasses indoors.
Yeah.
But other than that, then yeah. So I think we had pretty much the same scores except for production and entertainment being swapped.
Yeah. Like I was on that borderline too of giving production a higher one, but kind of how you mentioned, like I grouped up some things together.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. So with our combined scores, this episode is a 3.3.
Oh,
so
close.
Yeah, I think that makes sense based on like how we averaged out pretty much with each category. And yeah, I think that's the score it actually deserves. So entertaining show, but yeah, definitely we need to improve the match length quality here. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
Don't you ever do that to me again at NXT. Especially as you're like winding your show down. Like go out strong.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's not a good one. I think that was 13. And then we got 14, 15.
Yeah.
For this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a stinker right there. Like,
yeah.
That was an egg for sure laid on us by the match gods.
Yeah. On the next episode, we are pretty much almost in the home stretch where we're officially in the semifinals / final 4. In the main event, we have Wade Barrett versus Justin Gabriel, which is also a match I really want to see.
Yeah.
I can tell that the kind of balance between their characters and their in-ring work will hopefully be a good match.
They're like opposites. Like you got the monotone high flyer, and then you got kind of like the loud, boastful big guy.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that match. And yeah, they're kind of like how they said at the very last minute, there will be an elimination next week as well. So
what are we down to? 4?
We're down to 4. Yeah, we have,
and then you narrowed down to 3.
Yeah. So we have Wade Barrett, Otunga, Justin Gabriel, and
Slater Gator.
Slater Gator, baby. And that does it for us on this episode. And yeah, as always, we want to kind of give a shout out to Grow Canvas Bro.
Yeah, do it.
And my biggest shout out this week is your girl. Our girl now.
My homie.
Miss Mia Yim, because we had recently been working with Grow Canvas Girl on a new Animatron project. And our first one was with Mia Yim. And yeah, she gave us a shout out on Instagram as well. So we can't thank you enough, and we super appreciate it. Obviously, we're huge fans, and I can't remember the episode number, but you can clearly see us supporting her at the San Jose show a couple of months back. And yeah, so we're not lying when we're saying we're fans, because it's been caught on camera. So
Hey, shout out to Mia Yim, but I mean, are you listening to the podcast?
Yeah. We'll constantly keep giving more shout outs if that's the case.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, man. Like, we could draw you all day, but we want you to hear our voices.
Yeah. So shout out to Mia Yim, and keep doing your thing. Did you have any shout outs, or are we both sharing the shout out this week?
No, shout out to the San Jose Sharks.
The Sharks.
Period.
Just the whole franchise.
Yep, the San Jose Sharks. Shout out to them. Period.
I think we need to go to a game again. I went a couple, was it last year or 2 years ago? And yeah, it's definitely a good time. So
to a Shark? I ain't never been to a Shark.
Oh no, we gotta go then. We gotta go.
I hear awesome things about it, and I'm like, man, it's cold in there. Probably, I love cold. So
yeah,
we can mess with that.
Plus, Mark and I went to the Whole Foods that it's just like a couple blocks down, and they had like a really nice like beer garden area, and yeah, that's where we went before the game. So definitely recommend it.
I didn't see that coming. I tell you that much. But hey, I'm with it. Beer garden at the Whole Foods.
Yeah. Alrighty, so thanks again for listening. And yeah, if you haven't followed through, even though we're coming closer to the end of the season, you can still catch up if you are just listening to us for the first time. We have all of our episodes archived on YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. So if you need to catch up, this is the perfect time to catch up before we come to wrap up the season. And yeah, thanks again for listening, and we'll be back on the next episode.
Yeah, man, this is the perfect time for you to catch up if you can cut the mustard.
Ooh. And that, we'll close this out. Later.